So we're back with the low turn count campaigns. Last time, I was a bit lazy with the strategies as it was kind of a proof of concept video for me, but I'm not making that mistake this time. This is a much higher quality run compared to Long Live the Queen. Dungeons and Devils is a 3-part campaign. Contrary to the first campaign, your heroes do not transfer from every scenario. Instead, you start fresh in the 2 first scenarios, and then you choose which set of heroes you want to use in the final scenario. This means that in order to do this as fast as possible, you need some sort of setup in one of the 2 first scenarios. But in the scenario with the set of heroes you won't use later, you can just blast through with no afterthought, which I think is an interesting dynamic. Anyway, the first scenario, a devilish plan, is a medium-sized scenario. We play as Tan in the southeast corner-ish, always Inferno, but with a random starting hero and some extra army in town. The goal of this scenario is to take down a gold dragon down in the underground, which is guarded by 2 sets of green dragons, as well as a green border guard. The green keymaster's tent is in the southwest corner, behind a red border guard, and the red keymaster is just a few tiles away from our starting position. In addition to this, there is a red AI with 4 towns and villages, but I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, red is not an active part of this scenario. They're basically non-existent. I think there's only one viable strategy for this scenario. Send 1 hero to visit the green keymaster and 1 hero to take on the dragons. The fastest path to the green keymaster is past the neutral rampart village near our starting town, and then just make a beeline from there to the tent. Since there are at least 3 fights in the way, 1 fight against a random tier 3 creature, whatever hero we send on this path needs some sort of army, which consequently makes our main hero weaker. There is a tavern on the map on the way to the keymaster, which, in certain cases, could come in handy. You can take a few different paths to the underground, but one of them has a massive advantage, the hill fort, which will make our main hero just that much stronger by allowing us to upgrade our creatures. And as we're trying to go fast here, we need any extra firepower we can get. Speaking of extra firepower, who is the main hero I'm going for? Well, Inferno has very limited options. I need speed and power, and for Inferno, this only leaves one option. Pyre, as she has logistics for speed, and the ballista for extra power. I think Inferno heroes, in general, kinda suck, so any alternative main hero would be from a non-Inferno faction, but those are quite difficult to find here. With that said, this is a pretty simple map, so I don't think I'm gonna go into more detail on the strategy. I'll talk about interesting decisions when I make them. Alright, so the scenario bonus choice is very easy. 100 imps, as I need the army strength for a few reasons. Slayer and Armor of Wonder don't give me enough of a boost to even consider. So, let's just get into it. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. In order to find my preferred seed for this, I enter the Southwest Infernal Troglodyte fight and reset 3 times. This gives me Pyre as the starting hero. Since the campaign is on the easy setting, I can use some of the 30k starting gold to hire Zyron and also build a demon gate. Recruit the 4 demons and take them plus the 1 starting demon to visit the red keymaster. Using this massive army, Otto can just wipe the Null Marauder guards off the map. I can also hire Zyra, who starts off with the best skill in the game, Diplomacy. I recruit all available army, transfer Pyre's army to Zyra, and she immediately heads southwest, convincing the 30 centaur captains to join for a modest fee. Afterwards, I hire Yogg, who meets up with Zyra, taking everything but the gremlins, before Zyra sets her sights on the neutral rampart village. Now, it's finally Pyre's turn to move. She rides a bit, and Yogg trades over most of his army, keeping a couple of the small stacks to himself as to not clog up Pyre's army too much. And Pyre can use her now enormous army to scare the gargoyles in the way to also join our cause, for another modest fee. Thankfully, I'm loaded. I can even hire a 5th hero, Shakti, who, after some minor movement, gets the few gargoyles and hellhounds Yogg has, and takes all the slow creatures off of Pyre's hands, setting her up for the next turn. After using the remaining movement on all my heroes, it's time to end the first day of the campaign. A bit of a convoluted and hard to follow day 1, but this is what optimization on this campaign looks like. On day 2, Siron visits the Red Keymaster and gets some resources as well. Syra prepares to take on the neutral Rampart village, which is a fight Otto loses hard. Syra's actual specialty isn't diplomacy, it's haste. So after the dwarves move, I cast haste on the big gremlin stack and send them in to take out the wood elves. 3 out of 4 die initially, but the final one dies to a retaliation. Afterwards, I sacrifice the single 1 stack before I haste again to just take out the dwarves as fast as possible. The gremlins aren't all that important anyway, because, as you can see, they are incredibly weak. A win is a win, however, and in town I can recruit some centaurs and wood elves. Immediately afterwards, I attack the nearby master gremlins, who, of course, join. And no fee this time, lucky me. I also make sure to get some XP from a chest, leveling up into Advanced Diplo and Advanced Wisdom, and dismiss the slow normal gremlins. Pyre prepares to fight some Cerberi blocking the way and gets everything but a single Trog from Shakti. She then gets XP from a chest, and I have to make a small decision. Basic archery or advanced artillery. If you're unaware, ballista damage is increased by both of these skills. And since I only have shooters and no ballista, at least yet, archery is gonna be the obvious choice for now. But you never know, maybe I'll come to regret this decision later. Who knows? I shuffle my army around a bit and then just scare off the Cerberi. Nice. Guarding the hill fort is a group of zealots. A tough fight, but a necessary one. And incredibly enough, they actually join, which was a huge surprise to me when I first played this scene. Archery was definitely the correct choice for now. Shakti has just enough movement afterwards to take all the slow units from Pyre, who can now make her way towards the underground. Yogg does a bit of resource collecting, but these resources don't really benefit me in any way, so kind of a waste of time. And I also build a mage guild in the Inferno town. Day 3, and I'm just gonna skip over the kinda useless heroes from this point. Instead, we can see Shakti visiting the hill fort, upgrading every single unit, for a pretty low fee, and then transfers his entire army over to Pyre, who, in the name of XP collecting, takes on some iron golems. Even though I have quite a powerful army on Pyre, I still want the level ups in order to take on the green dragons. Makes them a bit easier. This should be an easy fight, but I have 4 different factions in my army, which means my morale is in the dumpster. The first round is spent just launching some projectiles at the bottom stack, and after taking it out following a big familiar hit, I can start focusing the top stack, even getting a hit in with my 4 Cerberi. I don't send the gargoyles or centaurs in, as I want to do my damage with the other 4 stacks, but incredibly enough, I get 4 miss morales in a row, absolutely making sure I will take some losses. I even have to do some friendly fire with my Magogs, as I'd rather lose Cerberi than familiars. I kinda regret upgrading those Gogs. I win the fight, get the XP, but at what cost? Well, I get advanced logistics, so it's worth it. From the conveniently placed chest, Pyre also gets advanced archery. Some dwarves in the way also want to join, but for once, I refuse. They're too slow. Instead, I use my extremely low morale army to take them on. Thankfully, they won't reach my valuable stacks unless I move into their range and then miss morale. So, after a couple of rounds of waiting and trimming the bottom stack down to a manageable number, I move my familiars in to finish the bottom stack off without any morale shenanigans happening. Yay. The zealots get 2 shots into the top stack, and the familiars can finish them off as well. Good stuff. Getting eerily close to the green border guard now. Syra finds some stone golems in her way, which, to no one's surprise, wants to join as well. But once again, I refuse. Instead, I'm fighting them. I don't have access to the campaign editor, but if I did, I would have checked if every creature on the map has a higher chance of joining, or if this seed is just supremely lucky in that regard. Anyway, this fight is very long, since it's mostly just kiting the golems around. I just shoot a bunch while keeping out of range. A minute and a half saved, and Syra continues west. The next day, she reaches the southwest Red Castle village. Otto wins, Syra levels up into basic intelligence, same as I have IRL, and I can use the tavern in this village to hire a 6th hero, Gretchen, whose only job is to ride down to the border guard, pass it, and visit the Green Keymaster. Great job, Gretchen, I'm so proud. This lets Pyre pass the green border guard, which she reaches with quite a bit of movement left. Guarding the subterranean gate is several green dragons. I do a little bit of army tinkering and take them on. Auto wins, but loses too many familiars, so I have to do this myself. I lose my lone Cerberus on turn 1, but the dragons don't reach any other stack this turn. After taking retaliation on my Gargoyle 1 stack, I get a nice shot in with the Zealots, as well as a nice hit from the familiars, setting up a nice AoE hit with the Magogs, killing one dragon and leaving the other one on 1 HP, which the 23 Obsidian Gargoyles finish off. The remaining dragons then shave off about 60 familiars, yikes. And after waiting with the Gargoyles again, I start mismoraling. I try to save some familiars by moving away from the dragons, letting the Magogs get another AoE hit in, leaving 2 dragons in total, which both do even more familiar damage the next turn. After a bit of waiting, I get a big shot off with the Zealots, but then the Magogs miss morale. Luckily, both of the dragons can be taken out in 2 hits by the familiars and the Gargoyles. Fight won, but I took some big losses here. Still, into the underground we go. On day 5, I sent Syra to get some XP from a nearby stone gargoyle fight, which auto wins. Then she gets XP from a chest, getting expert wisdom, before she takes on some archers with the sole goal of retreating. Then I can rehire her in the Inferno town in order to learn the Mage Guild spells, which I, spoiler alert, don't use. So that was a minor waste of time. Pyre, on the other hand, wastes nothing and goes straight for the jugular. But first, more green dragons. 5 of them. This time, they're not on grass terrain, so they can't reach any of my 2 hex units, making this fight easier. I use 1 Centaur 1 stack to take retaliation, send a big Centaur stack in to do some damage, for whatever reason. Miss morale on the Zealots, before I realize my mistake and do some more friendly fire with the Magogs when hitting 2 of the dragon stacks. Oops. 1 dragon dies to a familiar hit, and before ending the turn, I get a small hit in with the Gargoyles. On turn 2, the dragons have some sort of personal beef with the familiars, going so far as to even do friendly fire to hit them. Who does that? After waiting with all my creatures, I hit one of the dragons with the familiars so they would do more friendly damage, killing a dragon in the process. I finish off another stack with the Magogs, also killing my own familiars. Sorry dudes. And after another Zealot shot, the big Centaur stack can take out another dragon, leaving only 1 left, which tries to finish off my big Centaur stack, but is too weak. Instead, my Zealots get the honor of finishing this fight with a nicely aimed Hadouken. Pyre levels into expert logistics, and now only the Goldie left. Otto wins this fight, so why not just watch him do it? Go Otto! An absolutely incredible performance, just hitting over and over, not even remotely considering taking advantage of the 1 stacks of Centaurs I made, but instead getting some absolutely devastating miss morales, which means nothing in the grand picture, as it's not like any army would transfer over anyway. Eventually, the Zealots finish this fight as well, getting us the victory in scenario 1 out of 3 in just 5 days. Good start. Scenario number 2, Groundbreaking, is a medium-sized map. We play as Tan Dungeon and start off in the southeast part of the underground. As you can also see, there are 4 more neutral dungeon towns decently spread out. For an easy campaign scenario, this is a pretty poor map. But we're still provided with more than enough resources if we want to build up our town, as this is an easy difficulty map. The goal here is to make our way to the overworld and take out Red, who has 4 towns spread across the map. Usually, Red rarely builds up their towns to any relevant degree, so as long as we're fast enough, we should be able to not meet much resistance, but there are some barriers in the way. All of the land-connected subterranean gates are guarded by upgraded tier 4 creatures. Silver Pegasi, Crusaders and Archmagi, and all of the paths between the red towns are guarded by tier 3 creatures, which means that we need to split our army if we don't want to just take out 1 town at a time, which we, of course, don't want to do. So what's the strategy here? As with the first scenario, diplomacy plays a key part, as the creatures on the map are actually quite easy to convince to join. This lets us superpower our army early and start a 3-pronged attack. 1 hero goes for the northeast subterranean gate, 1, or maybe 2, goes for the middle one, and 1 goes for the southwestern one. The middle gate is the fastest path to the northwestern red town, but you may think, Why aren't we going for Dimension Door or Fly to set up Scenario 3? Well, again, I can't check the campaign editor, but I'm 99.9% sure you can't get either spell in any of the dungeon towns, but you can get them in the tower and rampart towns Red start with. But that would be really slow, as we first need to reach these towns before we can start building the mage guilds. So that's no bueno. Anyway, let's just get into this. I choose the Pillar of Ice starting bonus, as it gives me the most potential army on day 1. And I want the army. Let's go. I enter the nearby Infernal Troglodyte fight and reset 3 times. This gives me Gunner as the starting hero and some very useful tavern heroes. First, I hire Jedite, who leaves his troglodytes in town and instead only takes 9 harpies before he starts heading northeast towards the dungeon village and the subterranean gates. Then I hire Adela, which is not a random hero. I got the same heroes under the starting tavern heroes every time, so I could plan around her showing up. She takes a minor amount of troglodytes as well as all of the beholders in town and heads west to take on the infernal trogs. Auto loses 7 of my own trogs, so I do it myself. This is a fairly simple fight, and I don't mind losing a trog or 2, but I make a minor mistake in blessing the beholders instead of the trogs on turn 2. This doesn't really matter, but bless is very good on trogs. Losing 1 trog is good enough. From here, she heads for the southwest subterranean gate. Now, I build a battle academy in town, and you may ask why I didn't do this earlier. Well, it would mess up which heroes I got in the tavern, so I had to wait. Simple as. Instead, Gunner gets a free level up and heads for the middle subterranean gate. Lord Hart is next on the hiring list, and he takes whatever army he can get his hands on and goes for the southern Harpy Loft guarded by Harpy Hags. Otto's results are good enough, so I accept and get the 8 harpies from the loft and also some gold from the nearby chest. But I even get a 5th hero, Moandor, who has no job on day 1, the poor lad. On day 2, I build a Portal of Summoning, netting me 8 more harpies. I could have waited until day 2 to hire Moandor, but it is what it is. It doesn't really make a difference. Lord Hart runs back home with all of his army, letting Moandor swing by the nearby warren for some free trogs, but not until after he's left all of the harpies in town, as they will be needed elsewhere. Afterwards, all of the trogs, plus Lord Hart's starting army, is then transferred from Moandor to Adela. She then goes straight for the beholders, but due to Adela's diplomacy, they join for a steep fee of 3,250 gold. Yikes. But she's not phased and trucks on westwards. Lord Hart goes back to town, and I can hire yet another hero, Orin. I have other plans for Dessa. Orin takes the harpies, forgetting a shitter creature to keep for himself, and meets up with Gunner, who takes the harpies, swings by the learning stone, also learning diplomacy, and inches forward towards the middle. Jedite, on the other hand, finds some harpies blocking the path, but as you can probably guess, they join. For free, without Diplo. 26 of them. It almost feels a little bit unfair. A couple of eventful days so far. On day 3, Gunner gets some infernal trog joiners, then flags the neutral dungeon village, which has an upgraded harpy loft, letting us upgrade the 24 harpies and recruit the 8 harpy hags in town, before reaching the overworld. Here, Gunner convinces the Crusaders to join as well, which really makes this middle part trivial. In the second town, I hire Dessa, who meets up with Gunner, taking his Crusaders and Harpies, and is now going to take advantage of his logistics specialty to go for the northwestern Red Town. Jedite, on his way to the northeastern town, finds some menacing evil eyes in his way. But of course, they fight, just kidding. Otto loses 22 Harpies. Unacceptable. This is a very annoying fight, because I don't always one-shot the 3 stacks with a big Harpy stack, so I take a lot of unnecessary damage. The Harpy damage range is so big, Bless would be amazing here, but it is what it is. I spend a couple of turns trying to reach the Evil Eyes with my 1 stacks and then just use the big stack for damage. The big problem with Evil Eyes is that they have no melee penalty, so even if they can reach my big Harpy stack, they're still gonna inflict massive melee damage. After using Resurrection, which doesn't permanently res unless I have Advanced Earth, which I don't, I still end up losing 1 more Harpy than Otto did. I owe you an apology, Otto. I wasn't familiar with your game. Jedi can still reach the eastern neutral town, guarded by several harpies. Otto wins, and my confidence is crushed enough, so I just accept and enter town. Here, there's some army available, as well as a mage skill built, so I can build a mana vortex and set up Jedi nicely for the next day. Looking good. Adela, on the other hand, skips town, gets some infernal trog joiners as well, and almost reaches the subterranean gate, where she, the next day, passes through, getting the Archmagi to join, before beelining for the southwestern red town. Dessa uses his movement to get a large part of the way to the northwestern town, finding some Cerberi blocking the path. They actually fight me, but Otto's results are, again, acceptable, so I just accept. Getting pretty close. Gunnar swings by the nearby stables and then walks into the unguarded red village. 1 out of 4 down. Jedi recruits everything in his town, finds his way to the overworld, and takes on the Silver Pegasi. Otto, again, does quite well, so I don't want to spend more time than necessary, meaning I just accept the results, and go for the hill fort a few tiles away. Day 5, Jedi upgrades at the hill fort, finding the red rampart village afterwards, which is, shockingly enough, actually guarded by a hero. Otto loses to Torosar, but I come prepared. With magic arrows, which kills 12 gremlins every cast. Torosar replies with his own arrow, only taking out a single Medusa Queen. Pathetic. I hit the centaurs with both my stacks, as they reach quicker, even getting a Harpy Hag morale, speeding up the fight a little bit. The exact same tactic the next turn, but they morale this time. Unfair, man. So I lose a Harpy Hag. Thankfully, Torosar's army is weak enough now that after a third magic arrow and a Harpy hit, Jedi is victorious. 2 out of 4. Adela then walks into the unguarded tower village, meaning 3 out of 4. And Dessa finds the final town barely guarded. Otto wins, but I decide to manually finish this scenario off. This is extremely trivial. The Griffins die in 1 turn to the Crusaders, while the Halberdiers need a hit from both the Harpy Hags and the Crusaders. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Red is vanquished, scenario number 2 down. Another 5-dayer. Let's see what the final scenario has to bring. Scenario number 3, Steadwick's Fall, is a large-sized map. The goal here is to capture Steadwick, the middle castle town, which is behind no magic garrisons with quite beefed up armies. And even if you manage to get past them, Steadwick's protector, General Kendall, has a massive starting army to make things even worse. Red also has 3 more towns, but they rarely play too big of a part in these faster playthroughs. We play as Tan and have 3 starting towns. An Inferno town to the east, a castle village in the southeast, and a dungeon town in the underground. We get up to 8 heroes from one of the previous scenarios, which are spread out around the towns depending on their XP, with the 2 highest leveled ones in the 2 worst spots if you ask me, which is near the castle village. The strategy here is actually extremely simple. General Kendall has a major flaw. He doesn't always stay in town, so if we can catch him out of town, we can just walk into Steadwick and win without even fighting him. How to achieve this? Dimension Door, of course. But you haven't gotten DD from the previous scenarios, I hear you cry desperately. Don't worry, I have a plan. In the underground, there is a random relic artifact guarded by several black dragons. If I can find a seed with either a Tome of Air or a Spellbinder's hat, I get DD for free. But black dragons aren't that easy to beat early, so we need to juice up our heroes a little bit. There is a dragon cave right next to the black dragons, so if I can flag that, plus build a portal of summoning to get 2 red dragons, I can speed up the process quite a bit. But I still need to reach Steadwick relatively quickly, and it's quite a long distance from the relic artifact to Steadwick. I have a plan for this, but I think I want to keep this a mystery. This time, it's better to show than tell. So, although I have 2 logistics specialists from Groundbreaking, I'm gonna choose the heroes from a Devilish plan. In order to find my preferred seed, I send Shakti down to the Black Dragons, eventually, and reset twice. Although I usually say you need to be faster when resetting like this in order to make it consistent. Because Shakti has tactics, he always gets the first move against neutral creatures, which works the same way as being faster. I then immediately hire Ryland in the dungeon town, recruit all available army, meet up with Shakti to get his trogs, and attack the Medusa Queens, who join, thanks to Ryland's Diplo. I also take the artifact, Ogre's Club of Havoc, for a nice +5 attack, and transfer it all over to Shakti, who himself moves a bit south to meet up with Zyron, who takes everything but the harpies off of Shakti's hands. And I use the pre-built upgraded Warren to upgrade Shakti's trogs, before Shakti sets his sights on the Black Dragon domain. Before sending Zyron down to assist Shakti the next day, I make sure to also build a marketplace in town, and then it's time for Zyron to move. Gretchen, meanwhile, finds the comfy Inferno town, builds a marketplace, and lets the newly hired Cal take the reins. He takes Gretchen's goblins, all of the available Inferno army, and rides west, where he finds Yogg. Both of these lads are gonna help take the nearby Red Castle town, but they have some business to attend to first. They trade some army, and Yogg travels to the southwest, while Cal continues straight west. Syra picks up some wood and dismisses her gremlins, parking her horse right next to the half-horses of the Centaur captains, while Pyre goes for an ambitious attack on the fire elementals and retreats. Her plan is to get rehired in the Inferno town, where she upgrades her one imp to a familiar and joins Cal on his journey west. Before ending day 1, I build the final marketplace in the castle village. Very eventful day. On day 2, Yogg learns some useless stuff from a scholar and finds some Dendroid soldiers seeking refuge. I, of course, let them join my army and send Yogg back towards Cal, who takes the trees and transfers his army over to Pyre, who needs to take on the mighty rocks blocking the path towards Steadwick. After a bit of army shuffling and making a couple of 1-stacks, Otto actually wins. But it doesn't win hard enough, so I have to do this manually. This is quite the interesting fight. I'm prepared to sacrifice quite a bit of Pyre's army here, but I need enough army to fight for the nearby Red Town afterwards. So I box my Gogs in using the Hellhound's big familiar stack and the Goblins, as well as sending the trees up to help as well. The 2 familiar 1-stacks are used to slow a couple of the bird stacks down, and the general tactic from here is just to lay it into whatever I can reach with full damage, while also using the Ballista for damage of course, and as a pseudo tank. The tree's role in all of this is to keep at least 1 stack unable to move to keep any potential Gog reachers from reaching the Gogs. Since the birds are 2 hex creatures, I can be a little bit creative with the positioning, often leaving a gap between my creatures. Anyway, this is quite a long and repetitive fight, so I'll just skip to the end, where we can see that I, for once, did a way better job than Otto. I'm not completely useless. But there are more interesting fights to come. Pyre levels into expert archery and almost reaches the Red Town afterwards. Ryland picks up some resources, and as you could probably guess from the marketplace building, every resource counts, so what Ryland and Cal is doing is actually extremely important. Zyron, meanwhile, trades a large part of his army over to Shakti, keeping only the Gogs to himself. Shakti, on the other hand, only has red dragons on his mind, going for the Dragon Cave already on day 2. That's pretty quick if you ask me. In the tactics phase, I have one goal: lure the dragons in so I can take retaliation and start blasting the dragons with my damage dealers, aka the Infernal Trogs and the Medusa Queens. The dragons take the bait, and I get a couple of shots in with the Medusas and Beholders before taking retaliation with the Centaurs, losing all of them, which lets the Imps get a free hit in, killing 1 dragon, while a combination of the Harpies and Trogs take out another one. I lose some Imps on turn 3, but I do more than enough damage even without the Trogs to kill the final dragon. Good and simple fight. I recruit the red dragon, move a bit, and do some giga stupid movement with Zyron, getting a bit confused with the previous strategy I used. It doesn't really hurt the end product, but yeah, this was not great by me. I build a Portal of Summoning, pretend to check useful things, and then end day 2. Day 3, an order matters here. Pyre takes on the Red Town, which is not Steadwick. Auto wins, and I just accept. In town, I build another marketplace, setting up the rest of the turn. Pyre then finds 3 gems and rides around a bit before getting dismissed. A job well done. Yogg suffers the same fate after using up his movement, not finding any resources, which was not a surprise, but I still wanted to use his movement for whatever reason. And Cal is also made redundant after finding some resources as well. I kinda wanted to do the same with Ryland, but I'm not really sure why I didn't. He was saved, I guess. Now, it's trading time. I need a fair bit of gold for a few more heroes. And I don't really need the resources for anything other than trading, so this works out perfectly. First, Khalid, who gets the portal of summoning Red Dragon, rides down to trade it to Siron, who himself meets up with Shakti and trades the Red Dragon over to him, giving the imps back for morale reasons. After splitting the harpies into 3 stacks, it's time to take on the 5 black dragons. Otto has a valiant effort, but only kills 2. Not enough. These dragons can reach whatever they want on the battlefield, so positioning matters a lot here, especially due to their breath attack. Not gonna go over every little detail here, but it's important to note that they can't breath the Medusas through the trogs when positioned like this. The black dragons fly in, taking out all of my harpy stacks, which is bad, and 4 Medusa queens, which is also bad. After checking the HP on the dragon stacks, I come to the conclusion that I want to use the beholders and the Medusas partially to soak the dragon damage on the next turn. This means I have to take retaliation on my trogs on one of the stacks, which is lined up nicely for my red dragons, which finishes the first black dragon off. The beholders are then devoured, while the Medusa stack is whittled down. I take retaliation on the Medusas, letting the trogs hit afterwards, thankfully rolling enough damage to kill dragon number 2. My own dragons get a nice breath attack in. Thanks, kinda stupid 1999 AI. We say bye bye to the Medusas the next turn, but the black dragons have again lined up nicely for my reds, so I oblige, finishing off yet another dragon. What I didn't notice, however, was that I'm pretty much a 1999 AI with my positioning, so the superior 1999 AI takes advantage and get a few of my trogs for free. In this 1999 AI stupid off, I win in the end, as my red dragon gets 2 dragons in 1 breath for the finish. Shakti's reward? A couple of level ups, but more importantly, a tome of air and a campfire. And he trades it all to Zyron, who rides up towards the town after telling Khalid to move out of the way. But this is what I mean with a giga stupid movement. Shakti has leftover movement and Zyron can't reach the town. This is really bad. In town, I trade some more in order to afford more heroes. First up, Alkin, who gets the artifacts from Zyron and attacks the infernal trogs to the north, having to retreat. He is rehired in the former Red Castle town, where he's waiting patiently. And I use my final few resources to trade for a final bit of gold. Finally, Syra's turn. She attacks the centaur captains, but I don't trust the auto-retreat option this time, for no reason at all, and waste a few seconds retreating manually. Zyra is then also rehired alongside Alkin in the Red Castle town. She moves out of the way so Alkin can trade her the air tome, and Zyra then dimension doors a bit west next to a scholar, which, very conveniently, teaches air magic, so she can DD one more time, finding Steadwick unguarded and General Kendall caught with his pants down. No fighting needed. Zyra walks in, capturing Steadwick. We are victorious in just 3 days, which means our total time is a mere 13 days. Not too shabby. 385 score and Wolf Rider rank is pathetic, but who cares? I'm very happy with this run, and I think it looks quite difficult to beat, but I more than welcome you to give it a go. Mapping out things like this is super fun when it works. When it doesn't, it's really frustrating, believe you me. Pretty much everything went to plan. Getting Shakti on the first scenario was probably the most important, least noticeable thing to happen, as I needed his starting army to take on the Black Dragons. Was this how you expected this campaign run to be solved? If you had other strats in your head, please do share. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and a subscription, and maybe even channel membership. You get my videos a couple of days early. Anyway, I hope to see you next time, and that you have a might and magically good day. Bye bye. And a huge thank you to all my channel members, as well as an extra special shout out to my Ballista channel members, Eskubani, Van Lunis, Rick Vissout, Licka, and Cat. Thanks everyone.